This story is inspired by the experiences of Easy Company, 2nd Battalion, 506 Parachute Infantry Regiment, 101st Airborne Division, during Operation Market Garden in September of 1944. The events depicted at Nuenen are drawn directly from the first-hand memories of the men who lived them: David Kenyon Webster, Daryl Shifty Powers, Edward Babe Heffron, William Wild Bill Guarnere, Richard Dick Winters, and Donald Malarkey. What follows is historical fiction, but the bones are real, the fear was real, the losses were real, the loyalty among brothers, that was the most real of all. This is their story, retold so we don't forget. Chapter 1. Ride Till You're Hit. The sun was high and bright, too bright for anyone who knew it was coming. David Webster adjusted the strap on his helmet and squinted at the horizon, his boots clanking softly against the steel hull of the British Cromwell tank he rode. Around him, 6 other men from Easy Company held tight to the turret, legs dangling, fingers white around their rifles. Somewhere up ahead, the village of Nuenen waited, quiet, green, and deceptively serene. They called this Operation Market Garden. They jumped into Holland just 2 days earlier, a textbook landing compared to Normandy. Morale was high. The Dutch were waving flags, handing out milk and apples. People shouted freedom in broken English. But Webster had seen enough war to know when the air was too clean, the roads too open, and the officers too confident. He turned to Wiseman, who lounged beside him like a man on a park bench. "They think the Krauts are in Nuenen." Wiseman shrugged, grinning. "Then we're going to find out." Behind them, tank guns all faced forward like parade pieces. No coverage on the flanks, no watch to the rear. Webster frowned. "American tankers wouldn't do this," he muttered. "First gun forward, second right, third left. That way you cover the whole damn area." Wiseman chuckled. "Relax, Webb. These Brits think it's a holiday. Patton's charging through France. The war's practically over." Webster didn't answer. He fingered the grenades hooked to his suspenders, more out of superstition than readiness. The wind carried the scent of farmland and diesel. Birds chirped stupidly unaware. They rolled past a small crossroads. A British scout car sat idling behind a cottage. 2 men peeked around the wall, Sten guns loose in their arms. "Where's Nuenen?" Webster called. One of the Brits pointed down the road. "Straight ahead of you, mate. Watch out for Jerry." And just like that, the air shifted. The tanks picked up speed, treads rattling louder. Webster tightened his grip. He saw the village now. Red roofs, a tall Catholic steeple, hedgerows lining the road like open arms. Jack Matthews, the loudmouth from First Squad, stood and pointed. Kraut tank, right side." Turrets swung. The lead British tank slowed, not fast enough. A yellow-brown half-track slithered through the hedgerow like a steel snake. Then came the boom. The shell kicked dirt and skipped once, twice, then smashed into the German machine. Dust and flame erupted. Men jumped out, some ran, some were shot mid-sprint. "Off the tank!" someone yelled. Webster didn't wait for an order. He jumped, rolled into a ditch, and came up firing. Dirt clung to his hands. Somewhere behind, the British tank's turret swung lazily to finish the job. "Forward, forward!" came the shout down the line. Easy Company split. 1st and 3rd squads to the left of the road, 2nd and mortars to the right. The tanks stayed back. No cover, no suppressive fire. Webster pushed forward with the squad, rifle ready. They moved from house to house, kicking in doors, ducking through hedgerows. Windows slammed. The Dutch weren't cheering anymore. Up ahead, Marsh and McCreary spotted a German tank hiding behind a farmhouse. It edged out once, then disappeared again. A man climbed out of the turret, hands up. "Hold fire," McCreary shouted. Too late. A shot rang out. The man vanished. Webster's heart was hammering. No orders. No coordination. The Brits refused to fire. They didn't want to destroy property. It was friendly country after all. "Friendly country, my ass," Webster spat. He ducked into a backyard. An old Dutch man in a black coat waved him down. "Wo sind die deutsche Soldaten?" Webster asked. "Na," the man whispered. "Sir, na." Very near. A long burst of machine gun fire cut the air. Burp! Webster dropped flat as bullets buzzed over his back like angry hornets. "Machine gun!" Someone shouted. "Bazooka man up front!" came another cry. No one arrived. Chaos. All around him, Easy Company fought house to house, yelling positions, dragging wounded, shouting for medics. Bullets pinged off brick walls and splintered fences. Mortar shells began to fall. One landed in a yard across the street, then another in the next house. The Germans were dialing in. Webster dove behind a shed, gasping. His canteen was empty. His mouth tasted like blood and smoke. Somewhere behind, someone was screaming. He peeked around the corner. The street was empty, and yet full of death. A tank was burning. A body lay half in a ditch, unmoving. Suddenly a Dutch boy ran up, no older than 16. Black suit, wild eyes. "Give me a grenade," he begged. "I know where they are." Webster hesitated, then handed one over. "Good luck," he said. The boy vanished down a side street. A shell whistled overhead. Another landed behind the park. The squad was pulling back. Fall back! Go, go, go! Webster turned, heart racing, and ran. Behind him, Nuenen exploded. Chapter 2. Kraut tanks. Kraut tanks. Shifty Powers hit the ground hard. The second his boots left the tank, the crack of German 88s shook the earth like thunder. His hands dug into the muddy ditch lining the raised road. Overhead, a mortar exploded in a flash of fire and smoke. The sky went from crisp blue to choking gray in an instant. He didn't remember hearing an order to dismount. Nobody needed one. The tanks had slowed on the approach to Nuenen, and that was enough. You could feel it in your bones when things were about to go sideways. To his left, someone screamed, "Tanks! Kraut tanks!" Then came the second wave. More explosions. The clank of armored treads. German panzers were emerging from behind hedgerows and haystacks like hunting dogs. They were waiting for easy company, waiting for the British tanks to crawl into range. They never stood a chance. The first British tank exploded in a fireball, its turret blown into the air. Flames shot out of the hatch like a Roman candle. One of the crewmen clawed his way out, his legs mangled, then collapsed on the hull. The tank, ablaze and driverless, rolled forward until it dropped into a roadside ditch. It kept burning, silent, slow, almost peaceful. Shifty clutched his M1, slid into a better position, and scanned for targets. Nothing but smoke and noise. Someone grabbed his shoulder. Johnny Martin spotted one. "Behind that haystack," yelled a voice. Martin was sprinting toward a British tank, waving his arms like a lunatic. Shifty watched the scene unfold, Martin pointing, shouting, gesturing frantically at the hidden threat just 100 yards away. The British commander, calm as a Sunday driver, stood up in the turret. He shook his head. Wouldn't fire. Orders. Shifty wanted to scream. Martin leapt off the tank just as a German shell found it. The hit was precise. Flames tore through the vehicle. 1 second there were men inside, then just shadows, then just smoke. Gunfire erupted again. MG-42s barked from rooftops. Bullets bit into the dirt to Shifty's left, ricocheted off stone to his right. He ducked and fired, changing clips without counting. To his front, a man dropped. Another ran to help him, and he dropped too. The street was eating them, one by one. Somewhere ahead, a burning tank ground into a power pole, snapped it in half, sparks showering onto the pavement. The tank didn't stop. No one was driving it. It just kept rolling like a ghost carriage. "All squads, fall back," someone shouted. No one had to say it twice. Shifty scrambled through hedgerows, vaulted a low wooden fence, landed in a flower bed. His knees screamed, but he didn't stop. He ducked into a backyard, heart hammering, sweat and grime coating his face. Robert Van Klinken was nearby, just a few hedges over. Then came the burst. 3 shots, fast, clean. Van Klinken dropped. His friends pulled him into the ditch, but Shifty saw the truth in their eyes. Van Klinken was dead before they touched him. He thought about the young mechanic from Washington State, the one who always talked about going home, getting married, having kids, always smiling. Now gone. And the Germans weren't finished. Another machine gun cut loose. Another British tank caught fire. A soldier ran out of the smoke, helmet gone, blood pouring from his side. Shifty ducked lower, breath ragged. His hands trembled as he loaded another clip. A voice from somewhere shouted, "To the trucks, go!" Shifty ran, past burning metal, past a pile of bricks that used to be a farmhouse, past men he didn't know lying twisted and red. He reached the trucks and climbed into the back. Around him, men sat in silence, spitting, coughing, muttering curses through clenched teeth. 4 dead, someone said. 11 wounded. Shifty lit a cigarette. His hands shook so badly he nearly dropped it. He took a drag and looked back. Nuenen was gone. Smoke rising, buildings broken, and the enemy still there. An easy company, what was left of it, was riding away. Chapter 3. Cover fire and crossfire. Babe Heffron's boots sank into cold mud as he slid deeper into the roadside ditch. The smell of diesel, blood, and burning metal choked the air. To his left, a British tank burned like a bonfire, its turret split open like a tin can. Bits of crew were scattered in the grass, charred, smoking, unrecognizable. He didn't look long. Babe swung his .30 caliber machine gun around, steadied it on the lip of the ditch, and fired toward the sound of a German MG-42. It was somewhere near the edge of a barn, but smoke made it impossible to see. He aimed for the flash, fired in short, sharp bursts, heard nothing but more yelling. Above the gunfire, someone screamed, "Gas! Gas!" Babe froze. Smoke poured down the ditch like fog, thick, white, unnatural. His hands clawed at his ankles. Where the hell was his mask? Gone. He'd left it on the damn plane. Almost everyone had. Panic swept through the line. Men cursed, scrambled, yanked on empty straps where their masks used to be. Babe dropped his machine gun and pulled his scarf over his mouth. "We're dead," someone shouted. "They're gassing us." Then Joe Toy's voice cut through the chaos. "Smoke pots, damn it! It's just smoke." Babe coughed hard. He didn't stop shaking until he could see the sky again. The wind shifted and the smoke cleared. In its place, the battlefield came into focus, and it looked like hell. Tanks burned across the road. Their crews, what was left of them, lay crumpled near hatches or draped halfway out. Some tanks kept rolling on fire, crashing into ditches, walls, even each other. The screaming of twisted metal was worse than any human voice. Babe gripped his machine gun again and scanned the field. He saw Buck Compton stumble into the open, then spin like he'd been punched. He dropped across a wheelbarrow, groaning. Babe rushed over. "Buck!" he shouted. Compton looked up, pale and furious. "She always said my big ass would get in the way." Blood soaked the seat of his trousers. Not one wound. 4. Gene Rowe, the company medic, crawled to his side. "I can patch him up," he muttered, already pulling supplies from his bag. "He's too damn heavy," someone said. "We'll never move him. Leave me," Buck said through gritted teeth. "Just leave me for the Germans." Babe shook his head. "You're not dying here, not today." Hefting Compton was like lifting a bull. Babe, Guarnere, Toye, and Malarkey tore a door off a barn and made a stretcher. Under a hail of machine gun fire, they dragged him across the field. Compton cursed the whole way. Bullets kicked up dirt around them, whistled past their ears. A sniper's round cracked inches from Babe's face. "Keep going," someone yelled. "Keep your head down." They laid Buck on top of a tank, face down since he'd been shot clean through the backside. When it lurched forward, the whole door nearly slid off. "Geez," Malarkey said. "He's gonna roll right off." Babe dropped back into the ditch, chest heaving, eyes stinging. And then he felt it. Pain, his leg. Something hit him. He looked down. Not blood. Buck's damn head had landed on his thigh when he fell earlier. He laughed, actually laughed, then nearly cried. It was that kind of day. Heffron heard a shout behind him. A 6-foot hedgerow blocked his path. John Sheehy's voice called over, "Come on, Heffron, give it a running start." Heffron tossed his machine gun over the hedge, took 3 steps back, right into open German fire, and ran. Bullets kicked up dirt near his boots, sliced the air by his head. He hit the hedge, bounced off, tried again. This time Sheehy reached over, grabbed his jacket and yanked him through. They collapsed together, panting. "My rosary," Babe gasped. "I lost my rosary beads." "To hell with the rosary," Sheehy snapped. "Let's go." Babe turned back for his helmet, and there inside it, tangled in the liner, his rosaries. He clutched them tight and didn't say a word. Another man lay in the ditch nearby, motionless. Babe ran over, grabbed him, started to lift. "Leave him, Heffron," said Sergeant Ranny from atop the tank. "He's dead." Heffron looked down, hole through the temple. It was Miller, just a kid, a replacement. Heffron had told him 2 days earlier he'd get through the war without a scratch. Now he was just one more face to remember, one more ghost to carry. They left him there. Orders. Babe stumbled back to the tank, climbed up, and dropped next to Malarkey. Neither said a word, just stared back at the burning village behind them. Nuenen was still in enemy hands. Chapter 4, No One Left Behind. Bill Guarnere stood on the edge of a barn wall, peering east through a pair of dusty field glasses. Nuenen still smoked on the horizon, its rooftops punched through with tank shells, hedgerows shredded, steeples broken. But that wasn't what he was looking for. He was looking for Bull. Denver Bull Randleman had gone missing during the firefight, last seen somewhere between a British tank and a German MG nest. Then gone, swallowed by the chaos. The brass marked him Mia, missing in action, but Guarnere didn't buy that crap for a second. Bull wasn't the kind of man who just disappeared. Bill turned to Johnny Martin, Bull's squad leader and close friend. "We're going back in," he said flatly. Martin didn't ask if it was an order, he just nodded. It started with a few men, then a dozen, then more. Not just Easy Company, men from Dog Company, even some from Regimental HQ. Word got around fast, Bull was missing and Easy was going to find him. Nobody questioned it, not one man. The Dutch villagers who'd cheered 2 days ago and locked their doors since now peeked from windows as the search teams spread out across the outskirts. Fields, barns, root cellars, nothing was off limits. Bill kicked open doors, shouted Bull's name, waved off officers who barked about the chain of command. This wasn't about orders. This was about family. It was the next morning when they found him. In a hay barn behind a stone farmhouse, Bull had holed up overnight. His weapon had jammed. The Germans were too close. He'd killed one with a bayonet, then hid in the loft under hay, motionless, for nearly 12 hours. The barn was searched 3 times before someone noticed his muddy boots sticking out beneath the straw. He was cold, bruised, half-starved, and grinning. When they brought him back, practically the entire company let out a cheer. It wasn't just relief, it was triumph. Because in Easy Company, no one got left behind. Back in Eindhoven, the men regrouped. They had taken a beating. Nuenen was a failure on paper. The Germans still held the town. The British tanks were either burned or back at base, their officers still more worried about preserving buildings than protecting men. But Guarnere didn't care about British timidity. He didn't care about the intel failures, the exposed road, the orders to probe with light armor against hidden panzers. He cared that they brought Bull home. That night, David Webster sat with his back against a supply crate, scribbling in his journal. "Wars aren't won at 50%, he wrote, not even 85. Wars are won by fighting 100%, with everything you've got, and then some. He looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, Command was planning the next move. Another town, another objective, another day on the line. But for now, they'd done the impossible, not tactically, not with flags and maps and medals, with loyalty, with guts, with love. Guarnere walked by and clapped Webster on the shoulder. "Write something good, Ivy League," Webster smirked. "You're in it," Bill grunted. "Then lie a little." They both laughed. Somewhere behind them, Nuenen still burned, but Easy Company stood tall. No prisoners, no surrender, no one left behind.